Amnesia the Bunker is easily one of the scariest, most challenging, and well-made horror games I have played in a very long time. From gameplay, to story, to atmosphere, this game has it all. To play through this game generally takes anywhere from 3 to 5 hours, but I think I can explain basically everything in 11 minutes. Ready? Go. We start out by running through a World War I trench, trying not to get killed. As we're about to be killed by some poisonous gas, our friend Lambert saves us. We have a flashback of playing a game of chance versus Lambert to see who goes out on patrol.
Fate's a bastard.
Later on, we're running about when we come across this hole that Lambert is at the bottom of. Naturally, we try to save him by carrying him, as dogs and German troops chase us. We then get exploded. We wake up in the medical wing with amnesia. And then get the worst flashlight known to man. This while we read a memoir from our journal talking about a terrible thing that we did but won't say exactly what it is. We then hear something coming from the kitchen, which ends up being a deathly wounded soldier. First he explains to us how to escape.
You want to escape. You need to blow it back open. There's dynamite in the arsenal. And a handle to trigger it somewhere in the excavation site.
He then gives us a gun and tells us to grab some bullets to put him out of his misery. But we don't get the chance. Okay, so pause the story real quick. One of the coolest things about this game is how there are multiple ways to do everything. There are loud, fast ways, short, quiet ways, and everything in between. One of the biggest examples of this is how this game gives you very few bullets. You have to use them wisely. Do you defend yourself with them, or do you use them to shoot open doors? It's such an interesting mechanic. Okay, back to the story. The next thing we have to do is make a lot of noise by shooting the lock off this door. This ends up leading to one of the most panicky moments I've ever had while gaming.
Why is it telling me to run? Why is it telling me to run? Why is it telling me to run? Why do I hear something behind me? Ah! Ah! Door!
Eventually though, we make it to this safe room, which is where we have a map of this facility, can save our game, and also have the generator. Now, the generator is super important. When the generator is on, that means you will have light throughout the bunker, which keeps the main enemy of this game much less active. But, as is the case with most things in this game, supplies are rare, and keeping this thing fueled is a challenge. Sometimes you have no choice but to go out into the dark. So, if you were paying attention, our goal is to blow open the exit, but first we need to find the dynamite in the arsenal and the handle to the trigger in the excavation site. I decide first place to go is the arsenal. Unfortunately, this is impossible, because the entrance is closed due to the emergency lockdown. But that's easy to solve, because the switch to turn that off is right here. Oh. We're able to find a replacement wheel, but unfortunately it's in a locker. Luckily, we go to that person's bunk and find their dog tag, which every soldier conveniently uses to write down their locker combo. So we get the wheel and go to the arsenal. Not yet. I actually came across this note that told us one of the escaped soldiers would broadcast the arsenal code to us at the communications room in the soldiers' quarters. So I figured probably need to do that before going to the arsenal, so that I do. We go to the soldiers' quarters and this place is dark. And that's made even more difficult by the fact that all the power switches in this area are daisy-chained, meaning all the switches have to be turned on in a specific order for all of them to be functional. Down here is where I have my first encounter with the monster in this game. Up to this point, my only interaction with it were by hearing it crawl through the walls, but now I had to face it. And this was also my first death. Anyway, the goal here is to get to the communications room, which is unfortunately locked. So I figured the best place to check is security. I couldn't figure out a quiet way into this room, so I did the rational thing and blew up the door. And then I hid under the desk from the monster. But unfortunately the key wasn't there. However, there was a note explaining that Mr. Picard keeps a copy of the key in his bunk. So we find that key and go into the comms room. Which doesn't have power, because like I said, the power is daisy-chained, so I have to follow these wires backwards, turn on all the switches, and then listen for the arsenal code.
9, 9, 0, 7,
Around this time is also when I find out what that horrible thing was that I did. If you remember, there's an early interaction with our character Henry and Lambert rolling a die to decide who goes out on patrol. Well, Henry decided to use a sleight of hand trick to ensure that he won. And that's the patrol where Lambert ended up dying, but Henry shares with us his reason for doing this. It was just a prank, bro. Arsenal code in hand, I head back to the safe room. After a quick refuel, it was time for the arsenal. I died quite a bit in the arsenal, and that's mainly just because it's a giant maze. You had to take the most roundabout way to get to the dynamite, but after enough tries, I was finally able to make it to that sweet, sweet TNT. And then, for the most stressful part of this game, walking all the way back to the safe room to save. Being so terrified of death because you don't want to have to redo things. Now, the goal is to go down into the old Roman tunnels where the handle should be waiting, but that is chained shut, and unfortunately, no bullet or explosive could open it. I tried. So what I really needed was a bolt cutter, which I actually found in the prison. It was in the cell with one of the prisoners who did not look like he was having a good time, but to open the cell, I needed to enter the control room, where the only way in was this vent that was kept shut by bolts that needed a wrench that I found from a note was in maintenance. Nice. So, after a change of clothes and a haircut, I was ready to go to maintenance. Real quick, if you're all enjoying, please consider subscribing. It helps me out a ton, and you get notified when I post or go live, which is when I play these games. Okay, back to the game. Something I forgot to mention was that all these areas have a room with their own separate map that gives them a more in-depth view of the area. And the place I had to go first was the foreman's quarters. Okay, so each area so far has had kind of one distinguishing factor. The soldiers' quarters had daisy-chained power, arsenal was a maze, and maintenance, well, it has rats. And not just regular rats. Rats that are hungry for human flesh. And these guys were so annoying. Alright, so we got to the foreman's quarters, and surprise, surprise, there is no wrench, but at least now we know where the wrench is. The foreman took it to the pillbox, where his dead body most likely lies. Oh, and we find Molotovs. Yay! So the main way to the pillbox is blocked off, and the other door to it is locked. I was stuck here for a while, which is when I finally checked the workshop, where there must have been a collapse of some sort, and I could make it to the correct side. So, after getting my ankles chewed off, I get to the pillbox door, and it's locked. I find a note telling me that 2 people have the key. Foreman Stafford, who's in the pillbox, and Father DeRice. So, naturally, I make for the church, and wow. Now, no other place in the entirety of this game is as gruesome as this place. I find the dear father and our key in the closet, which is when I had an extremely close encounter with the monster.
No, I finally made it. There's nowhere to hide.
Dude, go away! My heart was beating out of my chest here. I had come so far and couldn't die now. But I made it through and went to the pillbox. Which is when I was reminded that this was indeed an active war zone.
I would risk it. I think I can make it through that.
What was that? So, while there wasn't a wrench, I got the foreman's locker combo, which had the wrench in it, and made my way back. Which is when I died, because the power went out. But luckily, I planned for this, and memorized the combo, so I went to Foreman Stafford's locker, and got my wrench. From there, it was simple. Go to the prison, take off the bolts, open the cell, listen to the prisoner get eaten alive.
May have just gotten that man killed.
Oops. Take the bolt cutters, and open up my path to the Roman tunnels. This was it, the last area. I knew now that freedom was so close at hand, I just had to make it through one last challenge. So this area starts out flooded, so you need to make your way through the water to turn on the power switch on the other side of the room so that you can turn on the pump. Once you unflood the tunnels, you make your way through to this save area. You know that if this game gives you a save area, you better plan on dying. You make your way through these crazy old tunnels, which is when you start to hear another person, someone singing. You go to see who it is, and bang, shotgun to the face. I finally find another able-bodied person in this bunker, and they try to kill me. Now you enter almost a boss fight where you can fight this guy with a shotgun, but it's in this super misty area where you constantly see other figures walking around. I actually ended up shooting at one of these figures, which was really funny. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have enough ammo, so I just wandered around the grounds, got some fresh air in the area where I found Lambert, grabbed the handle for the detonator, and left. Shotgun Man was not happy with this, but it's not my fault his song got super annoying. Alright, we have the dynamite and the handle. We place both down, ignite the dynamite, and freedom at last. Just kidding. Game saves and we go down yet another rabbit hole. Literally. Here we have our last face-off with the beast, which admittedly would have been a lot easier if we got that shotgun from killing that dude. But we outsmart the dumb animal, stack up these boxes to jump over this wall, and run to freedom. Make no noise. Go back in. Monster runs back in his hole, and we are safe. Well, for all of 2 seconds, and then the Germans find us. Well, that's it for Amnesia the Bunker. Like I said, this game was absolutely amazing, and I loved every minute of it. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to check out more from me. There should be a few videos on the screen now. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Oh my god, I can't read today.